Hi! For the past few days or so, I've been wanting to share with you some books and other printed media that I have gotten semi-recently, kind of over the last month or so. I don't have a reason. I just felt like sharing. Some of these things I bought for myself, some of these things I didn't. And we'll start with a couple of things that I didn't buy for myself. If you like books and printed things, there's like a 3% chance you're in the right place. Encouraging, isn't it? Okay, we're gonna start off with the big one. My husband got me this for my birthday, which was in July. It is the Tears of the Kingdom official collector's edition of the Tears of the Kingdom guide. And it looks like you might expect a guide to look. I have used it. I'm almost near the end of the game. I'm side questing, and as you know, side quests are the meat of life. I'm debating if I just want to go defeat Ganondorf and then come back and do the rest of the stuff. It's very clear. It's very to the point. Oh, I shouldn't be looking ahead at some of these things though. So that's been coming in handy. I have this thing, so I've been trying to like not cheat at all, but I've given in lately, and for some reason I feel better about referring to an official guidebook as opposed to looking things up online. It's like, well, if it's printed in the official guide, it's not cheating, which isn't. That's just how my brain works. Okay, next. Okay, this is funny. So this is also for my birthday. My cousin got this for me because she couldn't resist. It's an ABC Labyrinth book. Because we all need one, even if you're a grown adult. I don't have children, but you know, any children in my life are more than welcome to look through this look, you know. So it goes through a actress, but then it also tells the story, you know, baby, her goblins, and there's David Bowie. There he is. He's dancing. Dance magic. The Goblin King dances with glee. I just want, oh, this is a good one. Hello. He tells, that's what the E stands for. So, you know, it goes through, but I did love this. Okay, I'm just going to show you this thing and then we're going to move on. Look, they gave David Bowie the 2 different colored eyes. The detail. So anyway, it was just adorable. She couldn't resist, and so she got it for me. Where's the inside? What does this look like? Oh, it's the labyrinth. How cute. That's the hardcover underneath. That's so cute. I was at a bookstore a few days ago and I saw the Labyrinth board game, which I feel like I had heard about, but then they have like these, you know, extra pieces and stuff that you can get, but then you can also get like these big pieces. They're like statues of the characters. I'm like, wow, that's really intense. You have to be in the zone to do that. I was not in the zone. I was in a different zone. Next, this is kind of a book and this is kind of just a printed media thing. Okay, it's a decoder for the Circle of Fifths, because as I've been trying to do some more music things, my husband said here are some things to help with that. And so it is part book to help you A, know how to use the little decoder, and B, what things mean. I haven't gotten to look at it as much as I would like, so you know, it's one of these things. So you can have, you know, your 1 4 6 5 chord progressions or your 1 5 6 4, and then it tells you, and then you can follow along, and then you can do it yourself, and then you'll understand. Other people learn this officially, but sad people like myself need a decoder. It's cute though. It's printed cutely, and that also matters a good deal. On a similar note, it's a joke. Music cards reference. So these are, I like this because it's very, what's his name? Starts with an M. You know who I mean. Anyway, it's all of these different charts. So here's a bunch of guitar chords. And then here we have our more circle of fourths and fifths, more chords and some scales. So anyway, they're just helpful little things that I mean to look more at some point. It's one of those things where you just kind of have to say, okay, today I am going to look at the so-and-so. And then you just got to look at the so-and-so. So moving on to something that I generally don't buy, and that's magazines. But I was at the grocery store and I'm like, you know what? I feel like buying some magazines. So I bought some magazines. First one I bought, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. And I bought a Taylor Swift magazine. Here she is. She looks lovely. And so it's, you know, her life, her music, and all her eras. It is trying to get you roped in because, you know, you've been hearing about the eras. And so it's like, what's the deal? I wouldn't say that there is anything particular particularly new that I didn't know in it, but you know, there's some nice pictures, and you know, printed media is nice. One of the things that I don't love, so they have it divided into her eras, so you know, by album, and so then they have the nice big picture of her. But my one problem with this is for all of these pictures, they kind of chose just very like similar. I wish that they were a bit more, like, to me the super straight hair doesn't represent the Speak Now era. Like, that's more getting into red. It just doesn't, they just all seem kind of similar, and none of them quite seem to capture the era. But that's just like on the chapter covers or whatever. But then, you know, you have your different, so it's nice. I read it in a day. And then I was looking like at the format, because you know, they have it like, you know, chapters is the way they have it set up. And so I think written by the same person was this one. I'm like, oh, okay, well that's fun. I don't actually know that much about the Go-Go's. I know the songs that I know, of course, but like I don't even barely know their names besides Belinda Carlisle. And so it was nice reading about them. Funny thing about them, they like really like, they just like decided to be in a band, and they didn't really play their instruments. Like they didn't know how. They just like learned because they wanted to be in a band. That's how this makes it sound anyway. So that was funny. But then they just kind of move a little bit through like their legacy, and so like towards the end they have pictures of, whoops, give me a second. Kind of like their legacy with, you know, artists, you know, who they influenced later on, and just kind of that sound, which I'm not entirely, like, it's funny, like the Go-Go's are kind of like a pop punk band, but it never occurred to me that they were punk-ish at all. It's one of those things where it's like you don't really remember the first time you heard some songs or heard of some people. It's just like, oh, that's just who they are. It's not a part of anything. Got Avril, got Olivia. So anyway, so it was kind of cool, and I know a little bit more about them. I didn't realize how short of a time they had actually lasted. It was really just a handful of years, and then they split. I think I assumed that they had like stayed together, but they just hadn't had hits or something. I don't know, but they just didn't last all that long. Anyway, my first magazines, ending with, because why not, Star Wars. And so I think this is mostly this creating the Skywalker saga, but I do think it mostly focuses on the original trilogy. Here's a nice picture of the three of them. This one I haven't read yet. It seems a little longer. It's funny, like, I don't really know how I feel about George Lucas as a person. I don't get the impression that he's a bad person. I haven't heard anything to that effect. It's more just like, I don't know, creative differences. I'm like, George, why? Why, George? I didn't get to read this one yet, but I will. So, moving on. Remember how I said that I was in a bookstore and I saw the Labyrinth game? I bought books there. It was really cute. It's in Kutztown. It's called the Firefly Bookstore, and it's new and used, and they have some much older books. Like, it's a wonderful combination of stuff. So, for the heck of it, I picked up Pygmalion. I do not own a copy, and now I do. I read it once in like middle school. I know My Fair Lady very well, but I've never even seen the film adaptation of Pygmalion, and I only read it once. So, okay, this is funny. I was gonna call this a Little Golden Book, but it's a Mickey Mouse Club book, so I don't think it is actually a Little Golden Book. It's Robin Hood. So this was a Robin Hood. It's got Basil Rathbone in it. He plays Sir Guy of Gisborne. But we had it, and we always liked it. I'd like to watch it again. I'd like to watch it restored, because it gets a little muddy and difficult to watch. And I don't think that's how it was originally shot. So it doesn't look like it's that exciting of a book. It's just like, hey, here are some pictures from the thing that you recognize and some text. It doesn't look like it's insanely well written. The two met at the middle of the bridge and fought with their stout wood staffs. Robin was quick and strong, but the stranger sent him tumbling into the brook. Not a whole lot of personality, but it was, I couldn't believe that it existed, so I got it. Also, they had a whole bunch of, they didn't have any Nancy Drew books, maybe because Nancy Drew is much more desired, but they had, did they have Hardy Boys? I don't remember. But they had the Bobbsey twins, they had, I think, some Judy Bolton, some other ones. There was one that looked like it was the same format, I think it's the same, Grosset and Dunlap, Dunlap. But it was like, it wasn't mysteries, it was sports stories. I should have gotten one of those just because they were interesting and unique. Anyway, I got a Dana Girls. I saw it in originally, I was like, oh, is this one a Nancy Drew? But it wasn't, but I like the cover, and it seems like it's the same, around the same time. It's the same series. I don't know how to, as this one. Anyway, this is what I mean. I got this from Throwback Bookshop, which is an Etsy store, and you can find lots of Nancy Drews on there. And so to me, these look similar. So anyway, I couldn't help myself. I bought one. I could have bought more, but they had a bunch of older books like this. Lots of nice vintage books. I could have spent much longer in there and spent much more money. But I didn't. I was essentially a good girl. Okay, so moving on. These books I bought for myself because I wanted to. I got these off of bookshop.org, which is an online bookstore that is pretty big. You've probably heard of it. But anyway, it supports indie bookstores, and you can even select which indie bookstore you would like to support when you make a purchase. So it's nice. So I got this. This is a book that we had, but then I moved out, so then I didn't have access to it anymore, and so it's The Letters of J.R.R. Tolkien, and it is what it sounds like. It's Letters of J.R.R. Tolkien, and it shows you who they're to, and then when it was written, and sometimes it gives like a little contextual sentence to start it off. I remember enjoying some of them. I would probably enjoy and understand it more now, just because of having a broader understanding of like the context of Tolkien, and I think just having a better understanding of people in general. So I don't know if I would like sit down and read it. Maybe I would, but I remember just sort of like flipping through it and like choosing a letter to read, which maybe isn't the way to do it, but it's the way I was doing it. So anyway, that's another one. And then last but not least, my sister owns this book, but again, we no longer live together, so I no longer had access to it, and I wanted it. Yay! It's cool. So even if you can't see what it is, it's The Making of Fantastic Mr. Fox, the Wes Anderson movie. I have a hard time picking my favorite Wes Anderson movie. I genuinely don't know. But a lot of this is just so cool, and so it shows you designs, sketches, and then some like pictures of the models, including, that looks like a Wes Anderson right there to me. Looks like his handwriting. Yes, I'm right. Notes by Wes on Rat's costume. Just kind of a portfolio. Look at the eyes, all the eyes that they'd have to switch out. I think it honestly really surprised me. I don't know what I was expecting. I think because, you know, on film shoots, you see the big cameras. And so just seeing them on set using these, like, I mean, obviously they're very high quality, good digital cameras, but I can't tell what type it is. So this is less of a read, particularly. There is some reading, but a lot of it is just different. More of a portfolio, but I am happy to have it. It is mine, added to my Wes Anderson book collection. Haha. So that's it. That's all I wanted to show you. I felt like sharing, and so I did. I hope that you have gotten some good books in printed media recently. To me, there is almost nothing lovelier. Yeah, I stand by that. So anyway, I hope you have a good day, afternoon, night, evening, what have you, and I will talk to you soon. So long.